to see other stadiums. Laredo's never had the first class type of arenas that we have today. We finally have an arena. I take my children out. I'm a season ticket holder to the Bucks. I like taking my family to the games. I enjoy being in a nice, safe environment. The days of traveling to San Antonio, going out of town to do anything, we can do it here. We're saving people money. Families that cannot get in their car or frankly just cannot afford to leave their job overnight, they can stay in Laredo and enjoy their time here. We have to consider everyone when it comes to these stadiums, not just the interest groups that don't want to see the stadium built because they don't attend it. I've attended the carnivals, the circus, the different concerts.
Thank you, sir. That concludes our second round of questions. Now let's move on to question 3, asked by panelist Javier Amieva to candidate B. Javier Mendoza.
Can you please help me? Okay, several times this morning the word taxes has been pronounced. So my last question is regarding this. In that question that I have passed you, there is a statement from the manager of the city of Laredo stating that for the more than 6 years, city taxes has not been raised. So what, considering this statement and regarding city taxes, what is your promise to the voters of Laredo if you are elected?
Thank you for that question. What I'm proposing is an election, a bond election ordinance. Basically what that does, if we come up with a plan to develop Laredo, to develop long-term planning, and we go to the voters and ask for their approval. It's like UISD, they asked for money to build the new schools, including United High School. Beautiful facility for education. But then they came back asking for $400 million for another bond package. The majority of it was not for education. The people know better, and they voted it down 2-1. And that is why I'm proposing this for the city of Laredo. We have out-of-control spending. We have projects that take decades. In my district alone, North Central Park, the groundbreaking was 7 years ago. The people deserve better than to have to wait 10, 12 years for that park to be completed. We don't have restrooms at that park. They barely put a water fountain, just one. I think the people of District 6 deserve better, and my proposal would solve a lot of these issues, and at the same time allow the people to vote yes or no as to what we're doing. I believe in the people. I know they know better in how to spend their money. One of the things that one of my opponents said about this baseball stadium, if you ask his campaign contributors, they're the ones who are going to benefit from this stadium. That is why I'm setting limits on my campaign contributions, because I want people to know that there are people who run for office who say what they're going to do, and they do it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Arechiga, same question.
Okay, thank you. Myself personally, my assessed value of my home went up 38% from 07 to 08. Talking about this tax rate being fixed for 6 years is really a big joke. Everybody knows what's going on. Politicians claim that they're going to leave the rates alone or they're going to lower the rates, but meanwhile the revenue needs to be generated and assessed values go up. We need to go in as a small business with a small businessman's perspective. We need to go in and control spending and to be able to limit the revenue. It'd be great to promise a tax cut. I mean, it'd be great, like Emilio wants to do at the beginning. But the reality is, you need to go in there and cut the expenses first to make sure you can it'd be adequately fit to drop the tax rate. In a comment about the baseball park, one more thing also. My cousin, the late Luis Guerra, he had a plan called the Eight Diamond Park, which he wanted to build a baseball, a softball, a multi-complex sports complex here in Laredo. He had a site in Alexander Estates which was set aside for the project, but then it turned out that the owners of the property pulled the project away. I think a stadium like this would put a whole lot more heads in beds. Everybody knows, like I have in the past, when you for example, the softball leagues, you set up a tournament, you can invite 64 teams with probably 15 to 20 people per team coming in to participate. It would really greatly help our restaurants and our hotel business here in Laredo. Thank you.
Mr. San Miguel.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, I love this city just like everybody here does. And as I have walked the streets and met with my constituents, I found that many people mention taxes. they talk about their property tax being increasing, even though the rate has not increased. Now, we know why the rate hadn't increased in several years. It's just that the value had been going up so quick that there was no need to increase the rate. Now, in recent years, it's been the opposite. The value of properties has actually gone down, and yet some people are still paying more taxes. But what's happening is that in this one case where I spoke to this one man, he's telling me that he looked at the appraisal used by the appraisal district, and his home that was built in 1980 was being compared to a house that was built in 2000. So that's not a fair comparable. I think that's not correct. Going back to the sports complex, I need to mention that people voted for this back in several years ago. It started in 2000 and a few years ago as well. If we break down society to its most fundamental unit, we have a family. If there are good times in a family and there's good income coming in, like we were having good times years ago, this whole economy was, the whole community was. You put money aside for that one vacation or that luxury car, but when times are hard, you don't use it for that. Right now, times are hard for our economy, and I don't recommend that we use it for a sports complex, but invest that money and bring an industry to Laredo to pump more money into our community.
Mr. Martinez?
Well, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, the difference between my opponents and myself. I want to cut your taxes. They don't. It's very easy to try to say, well, we don't cut the tax rate. Let's save money by cutting expenses. Let's save money. Let's cut your taxes by trusting the appraisal district. Well, the one entity in Laredo that's trusted even less than the city council on cutting taxes is the appraisal district. The way it's is generally described to me is that it's out of control. In fact, if you remember on Saturday's newspaper, they were seeking more money to do their appraisals, more money to jack up the price of your appraisal, the price of your house, the price of your taxes that you have to pay. There's only one way to do it. That's cutting the tax rate. That's where the buck stops. The buck stops with the city council. Now, what do I promise? You know, I can't decide whether to file a motion to cut your water and sewer rates first or to cut your tax rates first. Maybe I'll do both at the same time, although I think I want to do and this is my promise. I want to cut your taxes first. I want to file the motion to cut the tax rate. Because you can give the government twice, 3 times, 4 times the money. They will spend every last dime and still want more. You got to put a stop to it. The best way to put a stop to it, cut the tax rate. I will do that. My opponents won't.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Navarro?
55% of the residents in our community, they take care of the burden of our taxes of our community. That's way too high. If we don't go and try to bring in commercial business to alleviate some of that tax burden, we're going to be having problems into the future. The idea that we would want to take the people's money is just not so. What we're trying to do is create efficiency. What I want to bring to the table is efficiency of our city government. That's the best way we can do it. One, economic development, bring in businesses to our community to offset some of the tax burden for the residents. And 2, look at the departments, get more efficient with our departments, and make sure that our money is being spent properly if it's being spent. And if it's not, we make the proper moves so that we can be more efficient with our government. It's not something that's going to be overnight. It's not something that you can make a motion. It's something that you have to work on a daily basis. That's what I want to bring to the table. That's why it's important to understand our community and how our city works.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Santos, same question.
The proposed tax rate for 2010 to remain the same as 2009 just really is a slap in the face to most of us that we go to the appraisal district and we contest our assessments on our home rates or our property when the rate may stay the same, but it's the appraisal district that constantly raises the assessments on our property or our homes. They either get us through our property or through the homes. It goes back to council putting somebody in the appraisal board or us as a public demanding that the board or the appraisal district make changes for the right of the people. I think District 6 has one of the highest tax rates throughout the community. As far as it's concerned, District 6 brings in so much revenue for the city and for private industries and UISD and the county. The problem here is not with just cutting taxes, but it's going to the appraisal district and putting them accountable for what they do to our residents. And right now is not a good time to be raising taxes. As far as I'm concerned, many of us have too many burdens as it is, with many properties throughout the community, and property owners throughout the community have so much expenses right now that we just need to like assess the appraisal district and put them accountable for what they're doing wrong. Thank you.
And thank you, sir. We are now ready for our final round of questioning. This final question will be asked by panelist Noraida Negron to candidate Manuel Arechiga Jr.
Okay, this question, we've seen time and time again Laredo Police Department working on investigations to crack down on eight-liner businesses who are not following the law. What's your take on the city's policy on eight-liner permits, as some establishments that were raided before have reopened and continued businesses?
My opinion is if the laws in the book we need to enforce them. It seems like that we don't have the sufficient police force to enforce these laws. You know, we're coming down to a point we need to make a decision either we're going to allow these and make them legal in Laredo, or go all out, hire the proper force to eliminate or to crack down on the illegal operations here in Laredo. I want to make a comment that Emilio claimed that I want to trust the appraisal district. Believe me, I do not want to trust the appraisal district. The appraisal district are a bunch of puppets that are put on the board by our local government entities. They're basically told, you know, we cannot allow the tax rate to go up because we will not be reelected. But we need more revenue. We need you all to raise the appraised value, the assessed value of the properties in order to bring that revenue in. Like I said before, in 07, 08, my house went up 38%. It hadn't come down since then. It's utterly ridiculous. And as to Orli's comment about alleviating the tax burden, bringing in more development, that statement is utterly ridiculous. I mean, I've been in Laredo many years. I've seen Malden Norte go up. I've seen the Target. I've seen all these big developments come in here, and not once, when a commercial development comes in, not once have I seen our tax rate or our assessed value go down on our homes. That is it's just a play with words. All it is. Thank you.
Mr. San Miguel, same question.
Yes, thank you very much. I must be clear that I'm against any illegal activity, as it only promotes crime, chaos, and unrest. Now, to open eight-liners, it is not illegal, and policing those establishments is obviously not our job, but the job of the police chief. These establishments bring in approximately $1 million per year just in permitting every year, which is quite a bit that comes into our budget. Now, if we look at this from the moral perspective, when it comes to moral truths, I don't go to myself, I go to the Catechism of the Church. And in paragraph 2413, speaking of games of chance, games of chance in and of themselves are not contrary to justice. Now, if somebody is going out and playing in these establishments and not going out and paying their bills, not paying the water bill, light bill, not being a responsible person, then yes, that is an immoral situation where they should not be doing that. But it's no different than if I were to be addicted to the TV or to my computer, and I would only be there and not going out and working and being responsible as a parent. And so I must say that we must be very careful with these establishments, and we should maintain vigilance upon them, because there's a lot of activity going on there. We need to take a close look at them.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Martinez, same question.
Yes. It's very simple. You either allow it and make it legal and have them pay out money, or you make it illegal. The people that created this problem was the state of Texas, was the legislature. We need to hold them accountable, because the eight-liners corrupted our chief of police. The eight-liners corrupted him and two of his closest associates. We all saw the headlines. It created a huge problem for this community. We need to hold the state accountable and just tell them flat out, either allow it and have them pay money, legalize it so we can tax it properly, or disallow it. Because they're not paying sales taxes, they're not paying occupancy, they're not, personally, I think they ought to disallow them, because the state of Texas is not going to let them pay out money. But this gray situation is causing huge problems. And I wish the state of Texas, we should pressure the state of Texas and hold them accountable. Now, as we've been campaigning, I made a challenge to my other